My name is Amy Bogard.
And I'm Mike the Hobbit.
And we are the hosts of Deeply Upsetting, where we use our expertise to answer your most upsetting hypothetical quandaries, such as, what non-winged animal deserves wings?
And what body part deserves a secret mouth?
Which cryptid is the worst roommate?
These questions and more that plague you will be answered on Deeply Upsetting, available anywhere you get your podcasts and at GUIPodcast.com. The views and opinions expressed on Geekfather are those of the panelists and not those of the Geeks Under the Influence Network, their affiliates, or sponsors. Listener discretion is advised. This is for the parents and not for the kiddies.
Geekfire!
Can you try one more time? Say
No.
Geekfather real loud.
Geekfire way out!
And hey guys, welcome back. That's right. You're hearing this voice, getting ready for the Super Bowl. All the chips, dips, and dorks you can handle, ready to throw the ball.
I'm super excited.
Super excited.
You have no fucking idea.
Oh, I have an idea. But welcome back, guys. We are the Geekfathers. That's right, bringing all the trials and tribulations of being a geeky parent right to your face, right in your ear. We're gonna be loud about it.
That's right.
That's right.
As I burp,
As
I
you
was
burp.
trying
Well,
to get it out.
We try to burp. We get it all out, guys.
I don't have a choice anymore. I'm about to hit 40. So
Cool. And from one old man, that's right, that's me, Scotty P here, about to embark on the new adventure of another old man coming about, partner in crime, co-host of this show, Smash.
yes. Hi there.
Yeah, but you have been great
This
longer
is
than
quite
I
a
have.
contraption, huh?
Yeah, you've had
What?
great. Yeah, uh-huh.
Sorry. Let me turn it on. I can't hear a thing.
Speaking to my good hole.
Oh my!
Oh, old man jokes. Love it.
Oh,
Almost as good as dad
I
jokes.
was just practicing.
Yeah, I know. You're
a
such an
crotchety-
old fogey,
Well,
man.
I know I'm going to be a crotchety old fuck.
Yeah.
Like, I already know that.
Well,
much.
you've had gray hairs longer than I have,
Yeah.
which, I mean...
I've plenty
Sure.
of gray hairs now.
Yeah. Oh, more.
All stress-induced, baby.
Oh, yeah, I've got a few now.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, somehow the beard has been holding tight on not getting completely grayed out.
Well, there's no one I can remember growing up in my family that was... I mean, they were much older, so they were probably, like, closer to their 50s, where they were really starting to, like, gray out. And in almost a complete fashion. But more often than not, like, especially the men in my family and my mom or my dad's side had...
Yeah.
They were either bald as fuck, or they had, like... They didn't have gray hair. They were, like... It was just, like, a brown.
We did not find one gray hair on my father until he was definitely into his later 50s, if not his early 60s.
Yeah.
That man somehow...
She survived you fucks.
Well, my mom is the one that got all the gray hair.
Oh, well.
So...
She had to bring you two into the world.
Exactly, and
That
much more after that.
That takes a million times more.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Ask my wife. It's a lot.
I mean, I don't know, but I mean, from an outsider's perspective, looking to help, it was
Sure.
Yeah. I can't imagine the feeling though.
Oh no, I mean, some of the jokes are funny about the, when a man gets a cold or, what's the stone? Where you got to pee out the stones.
Oh, yeah. The kidney stones?
Kidney stones. I don't know why I couldn't think of the word kidney. Yeah, I mean, the jokes are funny in comparison, but I would never seriously sit there and go, that's nothing to when I had to pee a rock out of my dick. Yeah, I mean, I'm like...
I don't know that personally, but I can only imagine how awful that truly is.
Right. I mean, yeah, a kidney stone sucks. I've plenty of friends that have had them, but I would never sit there and be like, that's worse than a watermelon coming out of a lemon.
No.
Yeah, no.
No, that's what stupid says.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
What stupid people generally say.
Exactly.
Especially men. But, it's
yeah.
obviously only men. Only generally,
Keep digging the hole. Come on, keep digging. You got that shovel.
I'm trying to use the alpha, but in a negatory in a negatory way.
Don't be a dick. How about
Really,
that?
that's the only way you can use it. Yes.
Just don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
Yeah. So we're off to a great start this episode.
Well, I haven't had anything to drink either. I mean, I'm very sober. I'm just drinking a soda, and I have no plans to drink. So this is just all me trying to figure out how to talk again when you're just kind of home all day and you don't really talk to anybody.
Oh, no, fair enough. I mean, I'm only on beer number 2, but I'm not even halfway done with beer number 2.
Right. Yeah. Well, we can do 3 or 4 hours. Who gives a shit?
Sure.
We just be us chewing slowly. Little ASMR segment for all the ASMR people out there.
Slowly.
I'll tell you what though.
I don't think I could do it ASMR.
The ASMR, I mean, not weird ones, but you're just like general ones.
There are some weird ones.
They're fantastic. I've heard specifically from people that there are just some strange noises that when you go down that's a dark rabbit hole of something
that reminds me of the early days of YouTube where we were not going out to the bars all the time, still slightly too young to really be doing that all the time, maybe
right.
Like 18 19 years old and stuff. YouTube is still a relatively new thing, and some of those early videos, holy shit, either super creepy or just super like, I really should be high right now if I'm going to watch this video.
Yeah, or maybe I shouldn't be. Probably,
that's
probably
true.
Best if you're going down.
Depends on the night.
Mm-hmm. But the reason they used to call it the rabbit hole,
Do.
I don't actually hear it generally referenced in that way anymore, but I also don't generally go out into the world too much anymore anyway. So, you're kind of...
It actually got shortened to just basically you go down a hole, like a YouTube hole. Or, that's the closest reference I've heard or I've even used.
Yes, ever-living obsession with shortening words for no reason.
Hey, man,
shortening phrases.
The fast-paced world, sir.
I guess you have to. It's
the
quick.
way it is. It's the way it is, man.
It's quick. It's fast-paced. You forget, as a society, we've probably just forgotten how to write properly, proper punctuations, things of that nature. This is where my old man kind of comes out. Where, things I probably wouldn't have given a shit about 10 years ago. Now I'm like, what does that even mean? My kid texts me all the time, and half of it's acronym. And I'm like, what does that mean? It's not that I'm out of the zeitgeist specifically, but there's new shit.
You still have to spell certain things all like the way you used to. No, and I get it. I mean, there's
new things
coming
up with every day.
There's always going to be new slang, new abbreviations, new ways, and on some level, it gets every generation goes through that, and it's not a hate thing by any means, of course, but it's funny to hear about like, oh, my parents bitching about because of the way we do this. Guess what we're doing? We're bitching because we don't like the way our kids are doing the same thing or a similar thing.
There's a new one that my kid brings home, which is bro. What was that? Oh, you know what that was? That was the dryer.
The dryer. I thought it was like something telling us to stop. I thought I was like...
Oh, the ghost? No, the ghost is chilling right now.
No, I felt like that was like a secret, like only a high pitched thing. Maybe only I could hear, like Superman or something. And
were you being called to battle?
I was like, the Justice League needs me.
Yeah.
Wait, I'll be back.
Yeah.
Pause.
Yeah.
I don't know. I had a moment of
give me about 6 hours to drive to your location.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on, I gotta get gas, guys. Hold on.
Yeah, Batman's gonna send the Batwing or the Flying Fox, and come pick your ass up.
Right.
That's what
yeah, totally.
So God, wouldn't that be amazing though? Let's not go. We'll get off topic, but wouldn't that be like? Just think of the kind of world in which, and I say this fully knowing that this world does have heroes in it, obviously.
Sure.
Very real heroes.
And they don't always wear capes?
Well, and because they don't wear capes because they don't have... Their special power is pushing through the bullshit that most people would crack under. And saving people's lives or making things better. And that's what makes them a hero. But how amazing would it be to have a world with a Superman? or a Batman. I mean, and I say this fully knowing that hopefully we wouldn't even need that. But I mean, think of that kind of world.
It would be weird. And part of that does actually bring up my parenting. I have one of those like meme things.
Throw it out.
Well,
let's do it.
Well, actually, it's a good time because I figured it was about time. I know I've mentioned the site, and I follow this group on Instagram, and I've seen how they've grown over the more recent years.
Is it a cult?
No, it should be.
Oh, well, that's not good.
No,
that's
it's called.
It sounds like you're gonna talk to Hobbit about that one.
Maybe we will. We'll see. It's called The Dad, and basically, it started as like The Dad. And they have the website, thedad.com,
mm-hmm.
but they're on Instagram. Hold on, let me double check so I can throw out the proper props here for them. Of course, it's just The Dad on, and I'm pretty sure that's the way it is on Twitter too. If you look up The Dad, you'll find it.
I'll have to look them up. I'm generally pretty disassociated from social media, so I for the most part, so I don't usually add or follow any new people. Haven't in a while.
I very rarely do, but these guys, I'm assuming it's multiple people based on the amount of content, or at least it was one or two originally. Just the typical dad jokes across the board, but the way they've grown into actually throwing out some positive messages. They started on their website, and they'll use the Instagram and Twitter to do it as well, but they have actual articles about dads doing certain stuff. They kind of like us, where it's parenting all around in general, but it's actual dudes doing it. So they're dads, just like, so someone has asked me before, well, why is it the Geek Fathers? Why isn't it the Geek Parents? Because I'm a dad, I'm a father.
Right.
It's titled after who I am, not who we should be, or any, stupid stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's the same way with these guys. They they do a lot, and they have a lot of cool content, and that's where I actually pull a lot of like I just find those cool sayings or something, or like these great, like for the parenting that we do, where it's just like that works.
Most of being a geek doing a podcast is taking what the stuff you see out in the world and putting it right back out there through the mic. Because we like it.
And the one I had in mind for this as well. This was
here. Well, I'll tell you while you're looking up. I'll give you a dad.
I've got it right here.
Oh, you got it right there. I've got a dad riddle.
Unlike you, I'm prepared.
Oh, go fuck you.
Most of the time. Most of the time.
You son of a bitch.
But it's the way it rolls, bro. So basically, it's a couple of sentences essentially, where it's all the post is crush it as a parent today, like question.
Mm-hmm.
Do it again tomorrow. Screwed it up today, like a question. Do better tomorrow.
Yeah.
Parenting isn't about being the best or being the worst. It's about showing up every day and giving it everything you've got.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. And again,
it's
like I said, that
daily dad affirmations.
Basically, and it fit really into what you were saying. And I don't know how many times we've basically have said that as well on this show.
Sure.
Where it's just like, are we perfect? Fuck no.
Listen, any
I mean,
and I always say any parent worth their salt, and we'll speak it from our experiences. Any father worth their salt, geek father or not,
right?
Any father worth their salt sticks around, and they don't. And it's not a let me I'll stick around, but blame you for not being what I could. That's a much deeper issue for other fathers out there that might not stick around. I know that personally, and and what road that they can go down, or but just away from you, and how that can affect you.
Yeah.
But it's about showing up every day, but it's about humility. It's also realizing when you're wrong. We're talking about this off air, off mic, but sometimes it is us, and actually probably like more than sometimes it's us, because we have the most direct effect on our kid, at least for a while, until they, I guess I would say middle school. But even then, it's even more important that you have when there.
When they're more developed, I'm trying to think again. You know how I am about finding the key words for this. When they're more developed in their like self growth, I guess is a good way to put it. Right now, I mean, there's always self-growth. But the way we have to guide them right now is not always going to be perfect, obviously. But when they start hitting teenagers and stuff is kind of when it's more like they get out onto their own. You know, they're definitely not 100% on their own, but the way they think, the way they, and see, I'm even saying that wrong because I'm just like having trouble with the words today. Every day I have trouble with the words.
Yeah.
The speaking and the putting together sentences and shit.
Yeah, communication.
Yeah, communication. They come into their own. I mean, to put it in a better general sense, when they become teenagers, they really do more so come into their own. Like, both my children have great personalities, and they're still single-age digits. However, based on that and how they grow and how I try daily in a positive fashion to help that growth, when they hit double digits in those teenage years and certain ways of finding a little bit more independence on some things, it's gonna be bananas.
Well, I'll tell you,
listen,
I go through it all the time and you know, make sure I'm questioning my own kind of judgment on things to make sure it's gonna have probably the better outcome just for everybody involved, especially for her. And I'll tell you, you know, it's important. I try to keep this in mind now, especially now that, you know, my daughter is you know, she's older and she's not going to stop. She's only going to get older. Yeah. But from a biological standpoint, and we've said it before, and you probably heard it a million places, but the frontal lobe manages emotion. It's involved in making up your baby's personality rather.
Yeah.
So as your child, it grows into adulthood, they'll use part of their brain to sort of plan their daily life, make sense of ideas, of concepts, things of that nature. And the development really, it takes off in like 6 to 12 months. After I Googled that shit, that's what it said. 6 to 12 months is when
and Google's always right.
Right. But but in general, as far as the brain, as they know it works, that's where the development kicks off. But it doesn't, you know. And I was always thought it was like, all right, I guess it's probably around your late teens, early 20s is when it kind of gets around fully developed.
Yeah.
And from this says, first off, the frontal lobes, it's the key components of neural circuitry underlying executive functions such as planning, working memory, and impulse control are among, the last areas of the brain to mature, but it doesn't fully develop until halfway through the third decade of life. So you got to keep that in mind.
Jeez.
Keep that in mind, that our abilities, just think about. And when I remember, reading that, especially as I knew I was going into teenage years with her, I had to remind myself, like I had to teach myself to finally kind of understand what patience can do, what it really can do.
Oh yes,
because I was never the most. I was patient enough, but when I was no longer patient, it was like, all right, that's it. You're automatically in trouble. This and that. And maybe as a kid, even if she hated me for a while, probably worked in the sense of trying to teach her to certain things and responsibility, take care of herself, so on and so forth. But now it's different. It's an emotional game. I mean, and I know it is before because they're developing. It's always an emotional game in that way.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But from that aspect, for them to trust, like I want my kid to trust me. I want her to tell me whatever she feels comfortable telling me, but I want her to feel comfortable to tell me. And not feel like she's going to walk into an attack and not so like that. And reading that stuff, I always kind of remind myself that, listen, she's not even in the, she's not even in the halfway stage of
Logan, who's not even in double
full
digits,
development.
Yeah, he's already coming back with you're just going to say no anyways.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm just like, well, dude, talk to me, ask me a question, about, instead of flying off the handle about something.
Communication.
Yeah, communication is key. But he, his little, because he's got a mouth, which I can only blame myself for at times.
You can only blame, listen, I'm with you on that.
Yeah, but that's what he did. He's like, well, you're just going to say no anyways. And it's like, that's not necessarily true. However, I do, I'm trying to explain it to him, like, well, I've got to say no, because if you're acting or doing something that is not par for the course within certain guidelines, I have to say no.
Yeah.
There's not a reward for acting a certain way, man. And that's the real line sometimes that we have trouble figuring out where to cross or not cross, is like, we want to give you stuff to do. Have fun with your friends, whether it's a game, go out and play, of course, whenever possible. But if you come, acting a certain way, acting a fool, if you will, and then all of a sudden you're like, I want to play a video game. No. Stuff has consequences, and then that's, unfortunately, that's the long game, is the consequences.
Well, that's a hard balance here.
It is. And it's super hard. Daily, much less on a weekly, or just like when he's old enough to be like, gets home from school on a Friday and goes, it's the weekend, that means more video game time, because we usually have heavier restrictions during the week.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's like, hold on, you guys are also old enough that nothing heavy, but chores need to be done. There are clean clothes that daddy does most of the time, and that's not a slight against my wife. I just tend to do the laundry more. But I sit there and have a nice full basket, folded clothes, separated for both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you want game time? Clothes at least need to be put away. And I'm not talking about just thrown into a drawer and shoved shut.
Yeah. Or shoving them under something.
Yeah. Well, no, that's usually the dirty clothes is where we find them under the bed, just because they toss off socks, getting into bed at night or doing whatever.
My kid should have like a little pile of laundry. All I do is fold it, put it away, and I come find it clean. Now, for a little while, she got me. I didn't check the drawers specifically, but I was like, okay, I'm going to trust you.
Yeah.
And then, she was young. She was probably like 7 or 8. And then I got smart, came up and I'd start looking around and I would get close to where it was and you'd hear, and I'm like, you know what? I'm thirsty. I'm going to come back and look. I'm just going to grab a glass of water. I got to make a call. You know what I mean? I'm going to give you a chance to make it right. You give that
saving grace on just be like, you're busted, but not really busted yet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think the times where heads were butted at most were just when it was like you're as a parent, you're not being listened to, and and that's where you've got to pull it back. Have you ever Googled for parenting tips? Real talk. We can say it right in here. Have you ever like just been like, man, I don't know what the fuck to do, like. All right, let me see what Google has to say. And it doesn't have to be some shitty offsite, not offsite, excuse me, but some low key, 6 parents got together and wrote their manifesto. But I mean, general research. Have you ever gone and looked, Johns Hopkins University
honestly,
research? And
not
like
directly, but I've been doing this show for so long that I come across stuff.
Yeah, you come across quite a bit.
Yeah.
And that way we're in the zeitgeist for sure.
Exactly.
We're constantly viewing, because just like everyone else.
Let's see. If I started this show 2000, it had to be at least 2017, 2018, which means Logan's before. I did some stuff before the actual show started, but I always have. I believe it was that 1 year that Monster Mania was happening. That we all went to Cherry Hill, and
for you and the
Leland was just over a year old.
Yeah,
which means that would have been 2018 when how long I've been doing this show. Technically, 2017 with the random videos and stuff before I actually put together the platform.
Mm-hmm.
So in the past 6 years, and my oldest son is 8. I've come across some whacked out, some legitimate stuff. But the wackadoo shit that comes on the internet when you're talking about parenting or the way to handle your children sometimes, holy fuck.
All right, well then I have a question in terms of that.
And I know in regards to that.
Oh, of course I have.
Yeah.
I research as much as I can, and it's
funny you do that for everything. So I mean,
I make I can't. It's often I find it more difficult to verbally put that information out for me. So I don't know if I'll ever in my life or have ever actually come across as knowing shit. But, I think that it works for a lot of people, know. But I will say, I looking at the frontal lobe research because I pulled it up and then I looked at the questions asked. So you look at like your set of questions they have that Google like lists first that people have asked, and I always look at those. Because if you go further down the line, like you'll see maybe a few repeated ones, and as you go down the line, you find some like really odd ones. Every now and then, you get a semi-odd one. It's cool. Don't get me wrong. This is a good one.
Okay.
But I never, I feel sort of like I should have really done this when, my daughter was very young. So their question was asked was, how can I help my child develop his frontal lobe? I never that was never like and I feel like that, like, I feel like I missed out. Like, oh man, I don't know what would have changed, and I wouldn't ask for any change. I love my daughter exactly the way she is, or whomever they want to be.
Yeah,
I don't. But it's one of those things where I never would have sat and said, how can I help develop the frontal lobe? And they have some general, seemingly legitimate responses.
Yeah.
Like looking at characters in books, talking about the emotions the characters may be feeling, validating your child's emotions when they feel scared or upset, and talk about times you experience these feelings, and act with empathy towards others. And those seem to be like the top three, and those are for toddlers.
Fair.
In terms of, their growth.
Well, and even some of that can work for later on too, because let me
act with empathy towards others.
And
validating their feelings.
But there are great books that we purposely, unfortunately, you get to a certain point where it's just like, hey, why don't you read a book instead of worrying about other stuff? If you always say because my kids, I've told you before, I'm bored is their favorite phrase most of the time.
Right.
Go read a book.
Right.
Read the books, and hopefully that will change. But we even have some of the books. Yeah, I don't care if they're for younger, because Logan reads at a much higher level than he is.
Mm-hmm.
That he's been that way for the past 2 years, which is great. But you still need to, as I say for a lot of things, go back to basics.
Well, do you? I mean,
some of these books. Well,
do you talk about it with him? Or
does
does Mama sit down with him and if he asks questions, be like, this is why they'll be feeling that, and this is, I think that's and that's what it's saying. I mean, I think I'm not speaking for you specifically. I know for me, and her mom, especially when she was younger, definitely we read many books to her, and she loved it. Even now, she loves to read. That's her thing. That's her superpower.
I'm hoping this is a very short time gap where the whole not worrying about books is a minor thing, because I love to read as well, but I feel bad for my own self-pity of how little I've been able to read the past few years, just because of mentality to be able to read past more than 2 pages without either falling asleep or having to go do something. That's a parenting thing in general, Well,
I think, especially as they get older, if they're reading something or if they see something, especially now in this world and for a while now, as they see things, better to come to you and go and know that they can say, listen, I saw this. This is, or and even if they weren't supposed to, it could have happened on accident, whatever the case was. But this really freaked me out, And I think that's what they're saying is, and where it can translate is that I've noticed, especially with my kid, where I've tried to learn more patience, but I've learned a lot, to shut my mouth instead of trying to enact the lesson, which used to be a lecture all the time. Like, oh Lord, here comes a lecture, sort of. I roll and
that's why I'll even say at this point we're seeking additional help for the way we want to have some things done and the way the outcome has been at times. Not that anybody has technically done anything wrong, but we're sitting there going, we've tried this. I've tried to change my parenting skill. Let's get some additional help. Why is this reaction still happening when we've tried good, bad, and ugly on how to, I don't want to just say handle it, but on how to try to fix it or use as a way to move on.
Yeah.
We're seeking the help, man. And that's, again,
well, you need to always seek help. I mean, nobody can, the thing about parents, but especially the way we grew up and our parents before us, and it was
it was such a naughty thing for years.
No, it's just stigmatized as like, there's something wrong with them, and this has been probably said so much it's cliche, but it's true. It really is. And now it's, especially because of the pandemic, it's come to the forefront. So now everybody's a little more comfortable speaking about it and saying, I need it. And hence you've seen the growth.
I mean, the world that we
it's hard
live
to get
in.
It's hard enough to get probably an appointment. Yeah. Probably sitting on a waiting list for 8 weeks.
The world that we live in and what we've been through with the dark times of 2020, everything. I mean, we all need a little extra help as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, yeah. I think everybody lost their mind just a